The stars watched silently, indifferent as they always were, as the fleet of the Galactic Empire approached the Sol system with the grace of a god and the arrogance of an empire that had never known failure. Admiral Kirith Lurok stood at the helm of the Imperial Dreadnought Tessera Prime, arms folded behind his back, eyes fixed on the swirling blue sphere of Earth. It was, to him, an unremarkable world. Lush, yes, but primitive. No warp rings, no orbital cities, no signs of culture worthy of note. And yet, the silence they received after their ultimatum gnawed at him like a splinter in the mind. Civilizations always answered. Boys. Still nothing? He asked, his voice a low growl. The comms officer glanced back, nervous. No response, sir. Not even an echo ping. Lurok exhaled slowly, the sound filtered through his breath modulator like steam through pipes. They cower. Let them. Prepare the descent protocols. We'll take their compliance in person. Beneath his boots, engines hummed, and across the bridge, the crew worked with mechanical precision. The Empire had absorbed over 600 worlds, most without a fight. They expected Earth to be no different. Thousands of kilometers below, deep within the Atlantic Trench, Admiral Seraphine Vale sat in a chamber older than most recorded history. Clad in a crisp white uniform trimmed in gold, she stared into the glowing blue core of a device that hummed softly, alive, ancient, and utterly alien. Her gloved fingers danced over translucent controls suspended in the air, waking systems not used in millennia. "You're cutting it close," said a voice, mechanical yet warm. "HFY, the defense AI. They'll break orbit in 4 hours." "Let them," Seraphine replied. Her voice was calm, her posture relaxed. But her eyes, ice blue and sharp, were locked in calculation. They've never met humans before. Not really. Across the room, displays flickered to life, showing the Imperial fleet moving in formation. Earth's skies remained quiet. No challenge, no diplomacy. Just stillness. Seraphine stood and walked to a long glass wall that overlooked the vast control center buried kilometers beneath the ocean floor. Staff moved with precision, silent but swift. The command center didn't broadcast signals. It existed in a pocket of reality shaded from standard detection arrays. Built in the ashes of humanity's last great war, it was the heart of Earth's true defense, Project Lazarus. "Send out the final alert," she said. "Initiate global blackout. I want the Empire to think we're still sleeping." HFY responded instantly. Around the world, systems powered down. Satellites switched to passive modes. Earth, to the untrained eye, seemed to retreat into the shadows. Seraphine didn't move. She watched the stars. She had seen things not even her own commanders knew. The Empire wasn't just a threat. It was a mirror, a reflection of what Earth might have become had it followed a different path. Back on the Tessera Prime, Lurok frowned as data feeds dropped one by one. "They're jamming us," the intelligence officer said, voice tight. "No," Lurok muttered. "They're hiding." He didn't like it. There was an edge here, an unseen blade hanging over them. Still, pride was a powerful blinder. Orders were given. The fleet descended. Thousands of drop ships screamed through the upper atmosphere, scattering across the globe like steel rain. None returned. Seraphine watched as icons blinked out on her display. Every vessel that touched Earth's atmosphere was disassembled mid-descent by orbital nanowebs invisible to Imperial sensors. Each soldier was put to sleep, not killed, captured and preserved. It was psychological. The Empire needed to understand the difference between dominance and mercy. In orbit, the Tessera Prime faltered. Reports flooded in, radio silence from the surface, ships gone without a trace, no combat logs. Lurok's face turned pale beneath his mask. "Have they counterattacked?" he asked. "No, sir. There's nothing. It's like they were never here." But they were. They had been watched. Every movement logged. Every weapon mapped. Earth had studied them for years, quietly. At a hidden outpost on Phobos, humanity's black site armory opened. From it, ancient weapons, remnants of Earth's first reach into the stars, slid into position. Systems powered by unstable elements no longer found in the known galaxy awakened, primed by minds that were more machine than flesh. "Are you sure about this?" asked HLIX. "You haven't even spoken to them." "I don't need to," Seraphine replied. "They sent warships before words. That's all I need to know." Lurok, finally shaken, ordered a full retreat. The fleet began to rise. Then space folded. They never saw the weapon fire. No light, no flash, just an absence. Like a god had blinked and erased a thought. The Tessera Prime ceased to exist. One moment it was there, massive, invincible, and the next, it was not. No explosion. Just a void where it had been. Panic erupted across the Imperial fleet. Orders scrambled. Ships turned and collided. AI systems failed. A presence infiltrated their comms, a voice. It was Seraphine. Measured. Terrifying. "You were given a chance to speak. You chose to threaten. This is your only warning." No declaration of war. No ultimatums. Just a message. The remaining ships, broken in morale, vanished into warp. Fleeing across the stars to recount tales of Earth, not as a weakling, but as a sleeping power cloaked in silence. Back beneath the Atlantic, Seraphine turned from the console and sipped tea from fine porcelain. The war hadn't started. It had ended before the galaxy even realized there had been one. And yet, she knew the silence wouldn't last. The Empire would return, this time not with arrogance, but with fear. HIX spoke again. "Was that necessary?" "No," she said. "It was inevitable." She set the cup down gently, stood, and walked into the shadows of the command corridor. Behind her, Earth remained quiet. Peaceful. Waiting. Above, the stars watched. Still silent. But now, just a little afraid. The galaxy didn't sleep in the aftermath. Word of what had occurred at Sol spread like wildfire carried by solar winds. The whispers began at the fringes, pirates, traders, minor emissaries returning with hollow eyes and broken ships. But rumors did not remain rumors for long. Within weeks, high command meetings across the Empire devolved into quiet chaos. What happened on Earth wasn't a battle. It was a disappearance. The Tessera Prime, a dreadnought the size of a continent, had simply stopped existing. No weapon signature, no trace energy. Just a voice over the Imperial command channel. One woman. One sentence. Back in the Empire's core systems, Supreme Strategos Mertalin stood before the Imperial Senate, her jaw clenched as images of the failed Sol incursion flickered behind her. The room pulsed with muted blue light, casting the gathered admirals and counselors in a ghostly hue. They were frightened. Not openly. Never openly. But fear had a scent. "I propose immediate retaliation," growled Admiral Fornvalek, eyes gleaming with fury. "We send the Centauri spearhead. Erase the Sol system entirely." "And if they erase us first?" Mer replied evenly. "You all saw what happened to the Tessera. We didn't even know we were under attack until it was over." Silence. The council hesitated, caught between pride and instinct. Mer turned away from them. She had spent decades modeling every potential threat to the Empire. Earth was never on the list. Until now. Across the void of space, Earth was not idle. Beneath the copper-colored sands of the Martian wastes, an army was waking. Hidden for generations, the Atlas Warforged were stirring. Each unit was a relic of Earth's final war before retreating from the stars. Massive, biomechanical constructs capable of city-level devastation, their activation had always been considered a last resort. Seraphine Vale had just authorized the first wave. On the command deck of the Olympus Bastion, anchored beneath the Valles Marineris rift, Seraphine stood in full dress uniform. She no longer waited. She led. Earth's silence had ended, and the response had begun. The chamber buzzed with activity, holograms spinning, tactical feeds updating, orbital defense AI coordinating in real time with deep space listening posts. AX hovered beside her in a spectral blue shimmer, more presence than machine. Incoming gravimetric disruption at Neptune's edge. Imperial drive signatures confirmed. Multiple capital ships, one command carrier. No dreadnought class. Estimated time to soul insertion, 6 hours. Seraphine didn't flinch. Let them come. From Europa's hidden ocean cities, to the magnetic relay fields orbiting Saturn, Earth's true infrastructure unfolded like a serpent uncoiling. Each node, each weapon, each sentient drone calibrated for a single task, demonstration. The Empire wanted power. Earth would give them understanding. When the Imperial fleet arrived, it didn't engage. Not immediately. The commander, an elder tactician named Jeskthar, had studied the fate of the Tessera. He initiated scans, deployed probes, dispatched stealth drones. He sought logic, weakness, pattern. What he found was nothing. No signals. No targets. Just silence. Is this psychological warfare? His second-in-command muttered, watching as their sensors returned static and shadows. Worse, Jesk said. It's control. Then the stars around them shifted. Not literally, but perception bent. One by one, his ships began experiencing sensor drift, system desyncs, gravity mapping errors. Unseen weapons touched the fleet, not with force, but with information, sabotage at the quantum level. Ships disappeared. One, the Veil Ascendant, blinked from existence mid-sentence, its crew never able to finish the emergency call. Back on Olympus Bastion, Seraphine watched the board with detached precision. Her command staff remained disciplined. None celebrated. This wasn't a victory. It was a statement. They're pulling back, Heliax observed. Retreat vectors initiated. Not yet, Seraphine said. Initiate Lazarus 3. Target. Their carrier. No destruction. Breach and disable. In high orbit, a ripple of space unfolded like origami. Out of it came the Wraith of Dawn, Earth's stealth capital-class vessel. It didn't fire. It passed through the Empire's carrier like a shadow across a wall, bypassing hull and shield alike. Seconds later, the lights aboard the Imperial flagship dimmed, and every crew member simultaneously fell unconscious. Back on Earth, thousands of kilometers away, AI spires locked onto the vessel's core systems and began extracting everything. Language databases, fleet routes, cultural psychology. Earth was no longer reacting. It was learning. Seraphine leaned back in her chair, folding her gloved hands. Transmit voice protocol 07, she said. Shortwave. Wide burst. A single word echoed across the Empire's remaining fleet. Observe. Then the Earth lit up. Not with missiles. Not with lasers or plasma. But with movement. All across the Sol system, hidden installations revealed themselves. Enormous constructs rising from beneath ice, sand, ocean, cloud, monolithic and silent. Some seemed biological. Others impossibly smooth. All of them activated, not with aggression, but with presence. It was not a show of power. It was a revelation. The Empire, which had considered Earth a backwater, realized in that instant it had never understood what humanity was. Not soldiers. Not citizens. But survivors of something far worse than empire. A species that had sealed away its weapons, buried its gods, and chosen silence not out of fear, but restraint. Back aboard the command carrier, Jeskthar woke in containment. Not chains. Not interrogation. A single room, clean, quiet. In front of him, Seraphine Vale. I don't need to ask your name, she said calmly. I know who you are. I know your preferences, your strategic patterns, your psychological tolerances. He tried to stand. He couldn't. Gravity binding, she added. Non-lethal. You're not a prisoner. You're a witness. His voice cracked. Why show me this? Because your empire only respects strength. So let me be clear, we don't want war. But if it comes again, it won't last minutes. It will be over before your people realize they started it. You could have destroyed us. We still might. Seraphine stood and walked to the door. She paused only once. Tell them this, the stars are vast. But not every shadow hides weakness. Sometimes, it hides the only thing the dark is afraid of. She left him in silence. Back on Earth, systems powered down again. The constructs disappeared into clouds and oceans. Satellites fell quiet. Earth returned to its silence, its mask slipping once again into a blank stare. But the galaxy was watching now. Every signal, every jump gate, every diplomat that dared whisper Earth's name spoke it differently. Not with disdain. Not with curiosity. But with caution. And far beyond the edge of Sol, in the quiet void between spiral arms, something else stirred. Something that had heard the signal. Not of war, but of awakening. And it had been waiting a very long time. Far beyond the reach of the Galactic Empire's sensors, in the uncharted emptiness where stars were so distant they gave no light, a ripple of data hummed across the dark. A signal. Ancient and alien. Not from Earth. Not from any known empire. It was old, predating the empire itself, and it had heard Earth's response. The signal curved through forgotten dimensions, riding quantum folds, and eventually arrived at a place not marked on any star map. A hollow world, orbiting a black dwarf, stirred. Its walls pulsed with slow, rhythmic light as something within awakened. Not entirely sentient. Not entirely machine. A construct built long ago for a purpose it barely remembered. It had a name, once. Now, it had a directive: investigate. Back in the core worlds of the Galactic Empire, fear no longer whispered. It screamed. Jeskthar had returned, delivered unharmed in a shuttle so advanced it took hours before his own people could even open its doors. His testimony, recorded and analyzed, broke morale in command structures across multiple sectors. Officers resigned. Colonies went dark. Recruiters met silence. Supreme Strategos Mertalin stood alone in her private chamber, staring at a projection of Earth's final message. It looped again and again: observe. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't pride. It was worse. It was certainty. Her council had fractured. Valak had gone rogue, dispatching a small fleet against her orders. They hadn't returned. She poured herself a glass of ceremonial amber nectar, a drink reserved for victorious campaigns, and stared at it without lifting it to her lips. Victory had become a strange word. And yet, not all within the Empire surrendered to despair. Deep beneath the Imperial Science Bastion on Kaelin III, the Forbidden Archives had been unsealed. Project HFY, a myth whispered by those who remembered the Empire's darkest secrets, was reborn. It was not a weapon, exactly. It was a convergence of psionics, quantum cognition, genetic speculation, and something the architects had only called threshold logic. To understand Earth, the Empire now sought to become what it feared. Mer had sanctioned it, with only one stipulation: there would be no delay. But Earth already knew. AX had detected the reactivation of HRA protocols the moment they began. Seraphine stood in the observation dome above the reconstructed ruins of Old Geneva, watching as aurora-like patterns bloomed across the sky. She wasn't worried. Not yet. But she was thinking faster now. HLX, she said quietly, what's the probability they've found the outer relics? 74%. Increasing. She nodded. The relics weren't Earth's creation. They were older, seeded long before the first humans walked upright. And now, with the Empire desperate and flailing, it was only a matter of time before they opened doors better left sealed. Still, it wasn't the Empire she feared. It was the thing now moving toward them from the deep void, the construct that had awoken. She could feel it. Not through sensors, but something more primal. She called it the silence. It had shape now. At the edge of the Kuiper Belt, a distortion formed. No ship. No signature. Just a gradual disassembly of what space was supposed to be. The human satellites there didn't transmit distress. They simply ceased. The few artificial intelligences tasked with monitoring the belt transmitted a single message before going dark. We are seen. Seraphine held a war council, first of her living command, then of her machine subcommand, and finally of the hybrid entities housed in the Vault of Echoes. Each group reported the same conclusion. The entity moving toward Sol was not hostile, but it wasn't peaceful either. It was seeking. And Earth was the anomaly it sought. Rather than prepare a new weapon, Seraphine made an unorthodox choice. She initiated Contact Protocol Theta. A program designed for communication with beings that predated Earth's known history. A project many considered more myth than science. The only individual capable of enacting it was Dr. Alan Keir, a neurolinguist and former exile, whose theories on hypertemporal empathy had cost him his academic post. They found him living on a floating monastery above Venus, half mad, wholly brilliant. When they brought him to Olympus Bastion, he didn't ask why. He already knew. "It's come for the scar," he said as they escorted him through the core. "It sees the wound in our species. That's how it knows we're different." Seraphine studied him. "Can you speak to it?" "No," he said. "But I can let it speak through me." They hooked Keir into the vault node beneath the Marineris Rift, connecting his consciousness to Earth's ancient psychic lattice. A network formed not of wires, but of dream echoes, inherited memory, and deep machine resonance. It had not been used in centuries. And then the voice came. Not a sound, not language. But understanding. A presence filtered through Keir's trembling body. His eyes went white. "I see the pain," the thing said through him. "The silence. The burning that made you hide. You are fractured, but unbroken." Seraphine stepped forward. "What are you?" "I am the first echo of the architects. I remember their sorrow. I remember their end. I seek the inheritor." "You believe that's us?" "No," the voice said. "I came to end what was left behind. But now I see, your kind is what was left behind." Keir collapsed. Medical teams rushed in, but he was already gone, his neural matrix overwritten by the contact. A necessary cost they all knew. Seraphine stood silently. Ajax hovered near her, form flickering. "What is your command?" "Transmit everything to the deep systems. Secure the vault. And send a message to the Empire." She turned to her command officers. "We're no longer defending Earth. We're defending what made Earth." The message reached Mer in the middle of her own spiral. The construct was known now. In data. In myth. In fear. The Empire had no name for it, but Earth did. The Shepherd. One of the last remnants of the first civilizations. Neither god nor machine, but memory incarnate. And it was deciding if humanity was ready to know the truth. Mer opened a channel to Earth. A single line of text. "We surrender. Teach us." Seraphine read it. She didn't smile. She didn't respond. Instead, she looked to the stars. Because far beyond the Shepherd, farther still than the edge of the known galaxy, something else was watching. Something older than memory. Something that never forgot. And it had just turned its gaze toward Earth.